I have no idea when they say this meeting is being recorded. I've never heard that before, but welcome to MalcolmPresents.com. And we're here with Syd Mandelbaum and his guest. Could you introduce her?
Absolutely. Michele Schorenstein and her husband, Edward, have been active with Rock and Wrap It Up for over 10 years. I got a chance to meet Michele, I think first with a charity that she's very involved with some friends of ours called the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And we support that foundation. She runs an amazing event, which has been very profitable and has gotten the word out about the needs of the foundation. Michele was very interested in what Rock and Wrap It Up was doing, and was also involved in fighting poverty and hunger in other organizations, and found us to have a little bit more of a symmetry to what she was wanting to do with her and her family. And we've been together ever since. And she has joined Rock and Wrap It Up as the advisor to our Andy Parise Veteran Toolkit, and is also very much involved in our veteran farmers market. Michele, take it away.
So as Syd said, I met him a while back, and I actually decided to get involved because I like being involved in the community. I consider myself to be extremely fortunate, and I like to give back. So initially, my husband and I had decided for a Thanksgiving that we were just going to buy, X amount of turkeys, call the town of Hempstead, and have them distribute them. And that's what we did. So we called the local supermarket, and we bought like a pallet of turkeys, and the town came, and they came in a van, and they picked them up and they wheeled them away. And we had no idea where they went, who they went to, if they went to anybody, if they were being sold on a street corner somewhere. We had no idea. So we said, you know what, we should really tweak this a little bit so that we know that what we're giving is actually going to be given to the people that actually need it. So when my kids were little, I had been hearing about a charity called Rock and Wrap It Up that would host a Thanksgiving dinner for people in need in a church in Far Rockaway. And they would have student volunteers come, and kids come, and parents come, and whoever wanted to come and help and spend the day or the morning or a couple of hours and serve food. So we volunteered to do that on Thanksgiving morning. And that kind of became a family tradition to go and help distribute the food, bring the food, serve the food. And instead of donating the turkeys that we had the year before, we decided just to donate all of the hams and all of the turkeys that the organization needed to fund that day. So we started to do that. And it just became a family tradition. It makes me feel really good. And I make Thanksgiving, so it's a busy day for me. I have my whole family to my house for Thanksgiving, but in the morning, every Thanksgiving, we do help out and go to the food, either the food pantry or to wherever they're having their Thanksgiving dinner, and help. And we provide the turkeys and the hams. And the Michael J. Fox Foundation, that happened a little more organically. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with Parkinson's maybe 8 years ago. And there was a family also in town who I was friends with, and they also had a close family member that was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And it started in a firehouse. It was just a small fundraiser. Everything was donated. Maybe the first year we raised 20,000 or whatever it was. It was very small. Then it just grew. The whole town heard about it. Everybody wanted to come out and support. And a 2-hour pancake breakfast turned into about $100,000 fundraiser each time we had it, just by sending out mass emails. If people couldn't come, they would donate on a link online to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And it is amazing. We enjoy doing it, and we don't lay out a penny for the entire event.
Does Michael show up for these, or how does he participate?
We would love him to, and we are actually one of the bigger fundraisers that the Michael J. Fox Foundation has on a yearly basis, especially for the pancake breakfast. But he's really just the only event that he goes to these days is the one that he has in New York City. So no, but we've been given awards and honored, and they help us out at this point. They send people to our events. So there's always representation from the foundation at the events, but he has never been there, unfortunately.
We'll have to call him.
Yeah, please, if you know him.
In fact, we'll have him on the show.
Yeah. And I'm also on the board of Community Chest South Shore, and just started a loan program for small businesses so that they don't go out of business during COVID.
And when do you sleep?
You know what? It sounds like a lot, but it's fine. It's not like a full-time job. It's not hours a day. I mean, as things pick up and start to get busier, it does take up a little more time, but not terrible. It's not a full-time job at all. And I love doing the Veterans Toolkit. That's honestly, of everything, that's my favorite thing. And that happened by accident. I ran into Syd in a coffee shop, and he mentioned that he happened to be doing something for veterans. And I said, oh, I want to be involved in that because I've always wanted to do something for veterans. That's something I feel very strongly about.
Well, now, what is the Veterans Tool Shop?
So it's the Veterans Toolkit. I want to say it's an app. It's kind of like an app. It's something that can be put on a phone. And I look at it like a lifeline for service people as they come out of service. I mean, they go away, they're deployed, they serve our country, and then they come back and there's nothing. I don't feel like there's adequate services for them, adequate help for them. They're kind of just left to their own devices. So instead of them Googling things, 100 things, where can I find a food pantry that services veterans? Where can I apply to a university that is veteran friendly? Where can I go to a movie that will give a discount to a veteran? We put everything on this toolkit. The most important thing probably being the food pantries, because so many of them are in need. And they can go on this toolkit and everything is in one spot. So they don't have to look up each individual thing. Everything is broken up into sections, and they're able to just navigate through the app and see what they can use. There's free mental health services. If you want a service dog, there's probably a link on there that can tell you how to go about applying for one, things like that. And whenever I see or hear something on the news that I feel like would qualify for being on the app, I send an email out and our IT person adds it on.
Is this a national directory?
Well, anyone can download the app. So yeah, a lot of the things are national. Some of the things are maybe there for people that live in New York, but a lot of the things on there, it's mostly national. And a lot of it is just information. Like if they want to know about benefits that they're entitled to, we have a section for benefits that they're entitled to. So a lot of it is national.
Yeah, the more I do the show with Syd, the more I get involved, find out what he's getting involved with, which is
he does everything.
Enormous.
He does everything. He's the heart and soul of the community.
One of the things I think that is important is that we do missionary work in the summers at Jones Beach Theater. For the last 30 years, they've allowed us to set up a tent. And very much like any other missionary, we are there to recruit people for our services, for Thanksgiving, for our Christmas event, for schools that we would love to see food from schools feed the hungry in their local communities. But I have a banner which attracts what's called Blue Star families, Blue Star mothers and fathers, whose children are currently serving. And we probably get about a third of all of our people that come by the booth are for the Andy Parise Veterans Toolkit. And quite a number of parents are concerned about what their kids are going to do if they don't enlist for the entire career. So one of the things that we have, as was mentioned, are veteran-friendly colleges. We have veteran-friendly employers. And we have quite a number of parents that before their kids ever get out, will be able to help direct their kids when they get out for these options that Michele has promulgated on the list. And I would like to see this in a lot of other places. When somebody is getting out of the service, from what we're told, they're giving a full week of downloaded material. And by the time they get out, they just want to enjoy life for the next month or two. And they really don't want to think about employment, colleges, and other things. And the parents now have this to kind of guide them when the child is ready to go to the next phase of their lives. This toolkit is a great way for them to have direction, and the parents are there. And we have a lot of parents that do this without their kids knowing about it. They just want to know that there is these references that the military family can recommend. And there's just not enough being done for veterans when they get out.
Yeah.
And
How do you market this? How did the vets know that they can avail themselves?
so we put this out, I would say, in every talk that I do. And I probably speak between 10 and 15 times a year. This is probably the first or second thing out of my mouth, because I know how much the need is for this. We also have one of our good friends is becoming the incoming commander of the American Legion for Nassau County. He's former Brigadier General Pat Alicia. And Pat is bringing this to 50 different American Legion posts through his newsletters that will be going out. So we have, at least locally, a way of doing this. But it's so important for people to know about this. And I have not done a lot with government because I'm not a big believer in government. But I probably should reach out to the Department of Defense and to some of the other branches of military, more so than I've already done. And we did this when we initially started. Andy Parise was a very local persona. He was mayor of the town of Cedarhurst. His family has been involved in local politics for 100 years. He served in the US Army and was one of the liberators of Buchenwald death camp. And all of this had made Andy, someone that was very involved, first in Jewish affairs. The five-town community is, at this point, I'd say at least 70 to 75% Jewish, much of it Orthodox. Andy has had a huge hand in being honored by a lot of these Jewish organizations because his background as a camp liberator, and has spoken volumes about it till he died about 4 years ago. But he was very active in the American Legion post, of which I now serve as commander. And Andy was the head of their foundation. He put together funds that he left for us to be able to give scholarships out. This last week, we gave out a fabulous scholarship to a child who wrote about fighting the Ku Klux Klan, as this post had done almost 100 years ago. And he received a scholarship. He's joining the Merchant Marine College. We gave out a scholarship locally through our Kiwanis Club, which was also involved with the Holocaust. My father's a Holocaust survivor. He passed about 10 years ago. We give out the Joseph Mandelbaum Scholarship, which asks students to write an essay about what the Holocaust has meant to them. And when I heard of the students who were applying for it, I told them that online at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum is an interview that my father did in 1982 when he was 58 years old. And they went and they viewed a 2-hour taping of my dad's life and wrote an essay about it. So we want to empower as many students as possible. So the toolkit is one great way of getting to kids that are in the service. But the other projects that we're doing is trying to empower as many teachers involved to get students to become thinkers. And what Michele had brought up, and I'm going to compliment her because she's not only a great volunteer, but she's a great mother. one of her daughters volunteered for us as an intern. And she did a fabulous job and then went on to go to college. She went to Emory College.
Emory University, yeah, in
And
Atlanta.
yeah, talk a little bit about your daughter because she's done great things, please.
She interned for Syd at Jones Beach, talking about the toolkit. They had a bean set up in a little table, and they would talk about Rock and Wrap It Up and inform people about what they were doing. And then she went on to Emory University, where she was actually a double major with a concentration. So she was a marketing business major with a French major as well, with a
Wow.
concentration in music, because she wanted to go on to do something in the music industry, music marketing. So when she graduated, she kind of got gypped out of her graduation because she graduated last May in the middle of COVID. She was home for spring break, and she got an email from the school saying, okay, that's it, we're done. You're going to be online for the rest of the year. And she had just flown in. So all of her stuff was still in Atlanta, and I had to drive down to Atlanta with her to pack her up and bring her home at like the drop of a hat, because we didn't know what was going to happen with the pandemic and if she'd be able to fly down there at any, we didn't know. So we brought her back, and she graduated online over a Zoom call basically last May, and then had a tough time getting a job with all of her qualifications because, number one, there was nothing happening in the music industry. Concerts were at a standstill, and that's really what she wanted to do. But she kept looking, and she ended up taking a job for a music magazine actually based in LA. It's called Max Down, I think it's called. And she does concert reviews for them online. They live stream the concerts and she reviews them, and it goes on this online magazine. And she actually finally did get a job in marketing, not in music, but she's working for a company called Mindshare here in Manhattan. And she's on a Rolex account. So she's thrilled and super happy and doing very well.
Well, if she ever wants to do a broadcast, a Zoom cast with me, have her contact me, because I'm
Okay.
I have a platform. It's malcolmpresents.com, which I don't have to be as part of the host, but I have various shows, half-hour shows on that. And I'm always looking for new things, and music might be an ideal thing if she can break away. But that's aside from that.
She loves music. She's very knowledgeable.
Is she into playing, or basically what does she want to do with music?
She wanted to be in marketing. I'm sure she would love to be either an agent or a producer or something like that. She's got a great ear. So we'll see. But she's happy with her job now.
Is she living in New York or in LA?
Lives in New York. She lives in Manhattan. Yeah, she just moved in when she got her job.
Because there are lots of music activity in LA. Well, actually,
yes.
Atlanta's not bad either.
No, Atlanta was pretty good. She had actually just gone to a job fair in Atlanta that the school had put together, and someone was going to hook her up with an internship at a record company in Atlanta while she was still there, but then things shut down. So, but she's hoping that reviewing for this magazine will be a jumping point at some point, but she's really happy where she is. So she might just say this, this is perfect.
Oh, I don't know what happened with Syd. Syd, are you there?
Yeah, he's there.
He's there. Okay.
No, I had a phone call and I didn't want to interrupt anything.
Okay, no problem. Anyway,
Malcolm, we could put some pressure on you now, Malcolm, that you know a lot of people in the music industry. You've been around a while, and it would be a nice thing if there were some options that you could introduce her to.
Well, I'll take her, have her email her resume to me, and I'll see. I know a lot of people. I've worked by the way, I've worked also in the radio industry for from 1979 to the early 80s.
Great, yeah.
It's basically marketing and sales.
He loves who he is now, but I'll definitely have her reach out at some point.
Oh, definitely. Do you have other children?
I have a son who is a junior at the University of Maryland. He's going to be he's an up and coming senior.
So, I mean, it's good that they started school again.
Yeah, my son has actually been in Maryland all semester long. He was online the entire time, but at least school was open, and he had the ability to stay in Maryland.
What are they? Terps? They called?
Yes, that's right. Terps.
Yeah. Well,
Terrapin.
What is a terp? Terrapin?
It's a turtle.
Big turtle.
Big turtle.
I have friends in Los Angeles, and they swear and die by University of Maryland. I mean, they're so loyal.
He loves it. He really loves it. His first choice was actually Tulane, and that didn't work out, and he ended up at Maryland, and I don't think he's ever looked back or regretted it.
And what is his interest? What's his major?
He's majoring in business as well, and not 100% sure what he'll do with it. We'll see. I tell him he's young. They have time to decide.
Hey, listen, I haven't decided what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I always ask that question, no matter how old people are. What do you want to be when you grow up? Because it seems like each, 5-10 years, something comes up and you switch, or I switch. Something
But that's
comes
what
up
makes it interesting.
Yeah, that I like better than what I've been doing, and I start learning and do it. Like this thing now with the Zoomcast. I got in this basically due to the pandemic, and all of a sudden I decided I love this because I get to meet people like you, like Syd, and it's like I know you guys because we deal face to face.
I got a great story, a great anecdote about Michele. So Michele has been one of our team players that helps us with our veteran farmers market, which is now starting its second year and has been very successful. Our partners have been great. And Michele had changed cars in the middle. And one day she drives up in her new car, which was a 4-door Porsche SUV. And everybody looked at her and said, "But Michele, it's a Porsche." And she said, "But it hauls food." True story.
The car didn't matter.
And we have her every Saturday. She's our Saturday trucker. And since we run the market Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I need a lot of help, and I get it, which has been great. And we had our market today, and we had more people than ever today. It was a beautiful day, and a lot of our people that come don't want to leave. We have one guy who happens to be a former chaplain, a Air Force chaplain, a rabbi, Rabbi Ben Sampson, and he normally comes with his wife, who likes to just get in and out, just come and go, and that's it. Today he came by himself. I said, "Rabbi Ben, would you like to sit down a minute?" "Well, only for a minute." Well, 20 minutes later, because everyone has, there is a camaraderie and there's a brotherhood, a sisterhood when you've served. And he just loves telling stories. He's 83. He served in the early 1960s, and we happen to have been stationed at the same base in Texas, Shepherd Air Force Base outside of Wichita Falls. And I think I'm the only person in the last 60 years that he's ever told these stories to, because in his community, he is Orthodox. There are very few Jewish Orthodox chaplains. And he just sits down and, like the rest of us, opens up, and it's really fabulous. And it gives him, again, a place.
I love that Rock and Wrap It Up does this for the veterans. And to help promote the toolkit, I've attended the veteran stand downs that are held on Long Island, and we'll give out the information about the toolkit, that it exists there. And it makes me so happy that it's available, but it makes me angry at the same time that there's a need for it. Because in my opinion, if you're a veteran, you should not be food insecure, ever.
Ever.
You should not be homeless, ever.
Right, and well, the big thing, which I'm a product of the Vietnam War. It's the thing is, there's a lot of veterans that need psychiatric care, because it's when you see things, well, in any wars, when you see the mass murders and the dead, and when your buddy next to you gets shot or torn apart, how can you come back to civilization and be the same? You
You
can't.
don't. You can't.
You changed.
You changed. You have to be. And they really never, the U.S. or any of the countries never really fully, serve the veterans to make them whole again, or at least try.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to get involved in this, because saying thank you isn't really enough. And I feel like this is a way to help, in addition to saying thank you when you do see a vet. And I always say thank you to a vet when I see a vet.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, especially, I don't know about the other wars, but especially the Vietnamese War, because when the vets came back, they were treated like the enemy. Because
Yeah,
the
there was
people,
spit on.
because the people say, "Oh, we shouldn't have been there." It's like, we had a choice to go there or not and fight the Vietnamese. But they treat the vets, the ones that the combat vet, or any of the vets, they treat them like they're the enemies. They did the wrong thing when we had no choice, in essence.
There's a couple of things, though, that Michele has been involved with is so important. We have therapists that can be seen if people are suffering from PTS, which is prevalent in all wars, especially those that have been the recent wars. One of the problems that the VA had was that if a vet sought counseling, there was a chance that it would be a black mark on his record, and he couldn't get a job in the uniformed services like fire, police, working with the jail system. And now, since they've recognized that, and I've recognized that through people that are in the military, we have found therapists that they could go to that they would not have a record of with the VA. And that is so important now because the laws have not changed yet.
And they haven't. Yeah.
And they are giving therapy just as they would get in the VA. And again, they don't have to pay for it. Their insurance covers it. But these are some of the things that a lot of politicians know about, and they have yet to fix that problem in the VAs.
Well, the problems with the vets have been a political football. Each of the parties, when they comment, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that," and nothing happens.
Well, that's not true, because I don't want to be too political, but under President Trump was passed the universal GI Bill, and it's called the Forever GI Bill, that until a veteran dies, he or she are able to go to college, even if it's after a full career elsewhere. We have people that are in our American Legion posts that have retired at age 42. We have one guy, Miguel Martinez, very active in our organization. Miguel retired 21 years with FedEx. And then Miguel went back to school and is now a court officer, which he's going to work for another 20 years to have two different pensions. Okay. But this is brand new. It's signed in 2018. It is on our toolkit, and it's a very, very big change from what was before, when you were limited to 12 years after you got out to take advantage of the colleges. Well, now that has absolutely been extended until forever.
Now, how would someone, if someone's watching this show or knows people, vets who they're watching, how would they get in contact with you guys?
They can go to the Rock and Wrap It Up website online, rockandwrapitup.com, and there are links to the toolkit and to all the other services that we provide.
Okay, and this would be the direct connection.
Yes.
To you guys.
And it is on the site. I'm just going to say it's also .org.
Oh, sorry.
But the reality is that quite a large part of the website is devoted to the Andy Parise Veterans Toolkit.
Yeah, that's And how would someone go to the Michael J. Fox?
The Michael J. Fox we hold once a year, and we advertise, it's all local, word of mouth. I mean, we send out email blasts to everybody in the community. So the Michael J. Fox Foundation website does advertise it for us as well. So you can go on their website and search upcoming events, and it would be on there. And it's always the first Sunday before, the Sunday before Thanksgiving is our usual date. We couldn't hold it last year because of COVID, but we're hoping to have it again.
What
So-
do you guys do anything during Christmas, or basically it's Thanksgiving? But the same Thanksgiving is the big thing. But
They just think for everything.
Thanksgiving is our biggest event.
yeah,
We were blessed after 23 years, it's the 7 years ago, after 23 years of having our booth up and having great activity. 7 years ago, a woman came by our booth in the summer, spoke to Diane and said, you know, what kind of work do you do? She says, well, we have work on Thanksgiving. She says, Thanksgiving's hard for me and my family. What do you do for Christmas? And she says, well, we do an event where we wrap gifts and give them out. And we're at the firehouse, the Woodmere Firehouse on Long Island. And you're welcome to come and wrap gifts. And that year, she came and she wrapped gifts for 3 of the nights. It takes about 6 nights to wrap between 4,000 and 5,000 gifts that are donated to us. Well, the following June, she calls me up. Her name was Wendy Smith. Syd, how are you? This is Wendy Smith. Do you remember me? I go, yes, you know, you work for, and then she says, Publishers Clearinghouse. I said, that's right. She says, well, I have to tell you something. I'm also vice president, senior vice president of Publishers Clearinghouse. And I was so impressed with your organization. I want to give you a donation of 5,000 gifts from
Wow.
Publishers Clearinghouse. I started to cry because it was that kind of, where do you get that? But you know, God is good. And she's been that active now ever since. And we get, I'm able to actually break up the gifts in a way that we get 2,000 sets of hats, gloves, and scarves. And on her nickel, she delivers them to the Northport VA to be given out to vets and their caregivers. So, and then 3,000 of the wrap gifts come to us, and we give them out always on Christmas Eve day, where we have about 200 people volunteering 4 shifts, and we give out everything that day.
Syd, let me interrupt you. Our time has run out. If you imagine that the half hour goes, it's probably about 35 minutes, but it goes awful fast. I thank you very much, Michele. If I could be of any assistance, you know, let me know. Let me know through Syd, because we have this is going to be a weekly show, because he is doing so much, and the word has to be spread. The show again, if you have friends, the show's on malcolmpresents.com. It's under Syd and Malcolm. It should be Syd alone, but.
Well, thank you. This was fun.
Yeah, because with both of you and the people that Syd introduces me to, I almost feel embarrassed I'm not doing enough.
You're doing a lot, Malcolm. This is great because you've saved us thousands of dollars in production costs.
Yeah.
To have a half-hour program like this, we could never have afforded to do this.
Right. I bet. So just let your friends know again if they want to see it. It's this and other shows, and sometimes we talk politics. Other shows, you know, I talk about just whatever the topic is. With Syd, we do charity and what he's doing, which is actually is my favorite. Anyway, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Okay, see you next week.
Michele, you were great, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Syd.
Bye.
I'll see you Thursday.
And have your daughter contact me.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.